Hello and welcome or welcome back. My name is Carrie, and today I'm here to do the very fun VR to Jay at Iridescent Tarot. Only one deck. There were rules, and I'm mostly following the rules. But I have to break the rules. It's good for me to break some rules sometimes, I think. So, only one deck. So, one tarot deck for the rest of your life, and you could never replace it or get another one. If you could only have one, which one would you pick? One tarot, one oracle. And also, you can share your backup tarot and oracle, but you have to focus on like why it didn't make the cut. And I'm only going to cheat a little bit, and that's because I have been thinking about this for a while. I've watched videos over the course of the week. I made changes yesterday because, well, one, the tarot deck changed because I got a new tarot deck. So we don't have to look at this one. This is the Saucy Burrito. This is the Sasa Burrito Tiny Traveler. And the one that replaced it is a similar size, right? So that was a part of the thought process for me. And so we don't need to look at this one, but it only changed yesterday because I got a brand new shiny thing that I'm like, oh, that's the one. And in reality, like in an emergency situation, like in what way, what world where can I only have one tarot deck for the rest of my life? You might be just with the one you had, right? That's a likely possibility. And the likely possibility of the one you had is either like an old favorite or the new shiny thing. So I've changed my backup to the new shiny thing, but I'm happy to tell you why it's not number one. And then my backup oracle, like this was the backup oracle until I remembered, wait a minute, it's not an oracle. It's my Nana deck. It's not called that, and I got it used because it's out of print, and it had gold gilding that was nearly worn off, and one card had a coffee stain. I washed every card. It is my Nana deck. But I treat it like an oracle, and I wasn't even thinking of the fact that it is not an oracle deck, it is a tarot deck. And I can talk to my Nana without that deck, but look at that. Look at us. Waving exactly the same, and my brother being all Saturday Night Live over there. So, yeah, I can talk to my Nana without that deck. Okay, so now that we got that over with, the new shiny thing. Okay, it's new. And it's shiny. Literally, it is shiny. Like, hi, I got my haircut today. Hi. So if I was on a deserted island, I probably got there from a plane crash. I'm not really a cruise person, so a shipwreck seems unlikely. And then if the plane crashed on land, like lost, right? You could lose all your luggage, right? There might have been an explosion and stuff. Or there was luggage in the ocean, right? They were pulling some bags in to get resources. And like, I would have more than one deck, but they would be getting wet, right? If they were in the water. So my theory is if I am in a plane crash and I have a tarot deck that survives the plane crash with me on an island, chances are I was flying to Europe to go backpacking, and chances are I would have a smaller size deck, not an oversized deck for sure. So that is how I ended up with my new by Bouchette Designs Orenda Tarot. Found it on Etsy. There's a couple cards in it that were just irresistible to me, so I got it, and I really like it. It would make the cut because I love the Pippi Aces, and there's a lot of cards in here that I really like. Oh my gosh. So why it would be thought of as a yes is there's nature in it. So if I'm on a deserted island, I would have like less animals to see. But also my brain went to, what if I'm in a dystopian universe where people that read tarot are like burned at the stake or something, some bullshit like that. I know it's impossible, but I would probably want a smaller deck, right, to have during that time. That was another one. I love this. This was irresistible. This is like if I couldn't be with my husband, this is him and I. That's us right there. Look at, it's really us. So love, lots of cards I love. Why it wouldn't make the cut? The texture, I'm not a big fan of the rose petal finish. This it's not too bad sticky wise. I do love the slightly different color tones of each suit and the majors. So these are all cards I like. Or they're okay. They're okay or I really like. All right, here's where we get a little why it doesn't make the cut. So, nope. 5 of Cups is a bird. The 5 of Pentacles is a bird. The 5 of Swords is a bird. And the 5 of Wands is mice. Or rats. So, either make them all birds or too many of them are birds in my mind. These 2 cards I'm not a fan of. So this one, I really don't know what I'm looking at. I can tell that like these are rats, but they're like rooted in, but there's no guidebook. So that's a big knock towards this one and the saucy burrito. You do get little keyword cards, so that's helpful, but I don't get a description of the picture. And yeah, what is that? Is that just a demon? Is it supposed to be a certain thing that I just don't know? I don't know. This one, I just no. Nope, I don't like that at all. I can deal with the deck. I still like the deck and we'll use the deck. That's a hard one. Okay, so there's that. And then, you know, I really thought I'd want to see animals. I definitely would want to see animals and flowers, especially if I was like locked in a cell somewhere. Okay, so we have all birds. I don't know if they're all a similar type of bird. I don't know if they're in the same family, but they're all birds. And the swords are all bears. And I like them. They make me happy. So this night, the bear is like the one running, like the horse, right? Typically. But in the pentacles, it's different. So we have cutie patootie here. I love it. Like both of these, I identify as these together. A couple Christmases ago, my daughter gave me an art print of a rabbit on the tortoise. That is right here in my room. I identify as that. So love the pentacles. But the rabbit is riding the turtle, and here there's a bird riding the bear. So that's not the problem. But here, I love them. They're adorable. Like this page. Oh my gosh. This night, I love them. I think we have 2 hedgehogs, but one is like anthropomorphized more than the other one. But then all the others, it was rabbits, bears, what's the other one? And birds. Rabbits, bears, and birds, but then we have penguins and hedgehogs. So that's why it doesn't make the cut. And also I did just get it yesterday, but whatever. If I crashed on an island suddenly, yeah, this would be good. And I have a mirror. I could signal to the planes flying over. Okay, since my Nana deck was not an Oracle deck, but a tarot deck, I choose the Herbal Astrology Oracle. Another new deck to me, honestly, except I had the pocket size for a long time, but I couldn't really see it very well. So the idea of getting a small deck just went out the window because I can see this one so much better. Really love it. It's by Adriana Ayeles, and the artwork is by Josephine Clerks. I'm not sure how to pronounce Josephine Clerks. Love it. They're both herbalists, and we have a mixture of like herbs that they work with because they're from different parts of the world. It makes the list because it's beautiful. It gives me an herb deck, even though I didn't take my tarot herb deck, and it gives me really beautiful scenes with nature and thought-provoking imagery and keywords. I get to learn about plants that are near me, plants and fungi. Cordyceps. So I get, I mean, the mushrooms, in theory, could solve Earth's problems, really. Okay, so I love it. The only reason it doesn't make the cut is it's one thing I love about it, but if I could only have one Oracle deck, I probably want one that's maybe a little brighter than this. But really, really, the reason it doesn't make the cut is the easiest answer I had was, if you could only have one Oracle deck, which one would it be? I have one that it's just no contest that is the Oracle deck that I choose. So love this one, love the guidebook, love the guidance, love you get to learn about plants, and then you get to learn, advice from the plants. You get the full scientific names of the plants. You get the astrological associations, which I know very little about, but it's very interesting to me to learn. So I really like this one, but it's just not the one I want more, is all. Okay, so number 1 tarot deck is currently on Kickstarter. It's the second printing. This is a first printing deck. I initially did not buy the guidebook, and it came from Europe. So I was like, I should have bought the guidebook. So instead of just buying the guidebook and having that shipped over, I bought a second deck with the guidebook. Okay, so I have 2 copies of this one. So Queer Crow Death Magic Tarot, currently on Kickstarter until October 31st. There are other decks. I have a collage that is like my number 1 collage deck, right? But Shanna D's pick, that's a number 1 deck too. But this, if I could never have another deck, I want a guidebook I really like. I did trim mine down a little bit. So the borders on, this is how it comes, at least the first edition. That's how it comes. These are the amazing backs. And what I did was just trim a little bit of the border. I didn't trim any from the top because it was already on the smaller side. But the bottom, I took a little off, and that helped make it more shuffleable for my little hands. And just taking a little off the sides, I just wanted it to be A, more boxy, and B, just to fit in my hand a little bit better because it's oversized. So I'm going to put this one away. But yeah, the one I would take would be this one in this beautiful bag. So why this makes the cut is there isn't a card in it I don't like. It makes sense. It speaks volumes with the simplicity. It is an amazing reader. I don't think Frank, the creator, meant to connect the chakra system to this deck, but in my mind, it absolutely is. Who just did a walkthrough of this? It was I know Simon did. I'm so glad Simon did. But there's somebody who really examined the cards laid out together and did an amazing job. Who is it? I'm going to put it on the screen and I'll put it in the description box. Dang it. Great job. So good. So the chakra system for me works basically perfectly. I get bright, beautiful colors. And if I'm somewhere where I don't get bright, beautiful colors, that would be wonderful to have. I have an easy reader. I have a deck that I always have my reading glasses on if I'm reading anything, whether it be a book or tarot cards. Even if they're this size, I have my reading glasses on to see better. But if I didn't have my reading glasses in this dystopian universe where I don't have more than one deck, I might not have my reading glasses and I could still read this one. It's just so smart. It feels magical. Absolutely magical. The 5s are some of my favorite cards, and I never like the 5s. I love this 3 clouds, right? It's your thoughts. And maybe you had big dreams, poof, 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 and all of them just got popped at the same time. It's just love them together. So I have something that speaks to my chakra system. Swallowing your pride and eating your words. I think it's in the guidebook. I think one of those is in the guidebook. But I didn't have the guidebook, and I was like, that's what I get from this. And it's so good. 5 of Swords. Yes, when I started to cut this image, the phrase swallow your pride came to mind, and I laughed. I often use a lion-headed person in my work as a symbol for myself and for transness. I am still wondering why they've shown up on this card, and my intuition tells me that the process of accepting that you are trans is perhaps a kind of defeat of the false shell that society would have you be, a submission to the truth of who you are. Questions. Every card gets questions. What defeats have you yet to accept, concede, process? In what situations are you being proud in order to disguise fear or shame around your vulnerabilities? What does winning and losing mean to you? What do you think losing has to teach you? Just queer, crow, death, magic is magic. It's magical. It is a deck for everybody. So we have some animal elements, human elements, skull elements, raven elements, or crow, owl. It's just got everything. These color gradients are just chef's kiss. Just beautiful. There's not a card that is not, for me, great. Just perfect. And so simple and so beautiful. So that is my choice for my tarot deck. I honestly have thought, I can't do it. I have thought about, now that I have one that I really love the borders on, this one I love too. Making it just the image is a thought I have. No rush to do anything, but again, the backs, so good. So, Queer Crow Death Magic by Frank Duffy. I will put the links below for their Kickstarter and website. Frank Duffy Studio, right? Yeah. Okay, and then my Oracle deck of choice is just, this was the easiest decision to make. So the Energy Archeology Oracle. I currently have several cards from this deck out. In fact, this was a reading I had yesterday, right when I was admiring the rainbows I have from the prism crystal thing I have hanging in my window, so I get rainbows in here. I was just admiring that, shuffling this deck, and I was like, I just have to believe. And I pulled this card. Anyway, so beautiful. They work together. The reason this is the deck is because I love skeletons. I love nature. So we have our amazing skeletons, our foundation, but also the place where new blood is made. Like, it's not just this hard structure. It's so much more. It's alive, living tissue. I find this to be just calming, beautiful, accurate. When my elbow is hurting, that card comes up. Like, it's really good. And like Frank's book for Queer Crow Death Magic, the Energy Archeology Guidebook, amazing. So this deck is by Ashley Stinson. I think, this might be out of print right now, but I think they're working on another edition, I believe. Illustrated by Kelly Finnan. Both of them do amazing work. You get in the book, I love when there's questions at the, sorry. I love when there's questions at the end, and there are. I love when you get a decent sized thumbnail. The only complaint I have about this is this font in theory, I like it, but it's hard to read. And I grew up, like, I know how to write in cursive. Like, I'm an old lady. For every card you get properties of the card and like associated cards. So you can use this in so many different ways. You get in the front of it. Oh, my candle is about to go out. I have to finish this video. You get a couple ways to look up what you're trying to look up. Like if you're like, oh, I know the bone, or it's also a big keyword here. It's just really well designed. And you get some spreads. You get to really learn about you, your body. So as someone who took yoga teacher training, the more I can learn about our bones and fascia and tendons and muscles, I just am fascinated with it. So yeah, the Energy Archeology Oracle deck works really well with Frank's deck. Let's see some more cards together. Look at that. Potential hyoid, the only bone that isn't in some way connecting to at least one other bone. Do you know how old was I? I was an adult. I had a child. I was looking at my x-rays on my messed up neck. It was a side view. And I saw this bone. I had to ask, what is that? And they're like, that's your hyoid. That's a bone in your like throat. Basically, it holds your tongue. How did I not know that existed? So, yeah, you have more power when you work together. So let's not forget that. The Lover's Inspiration. Okay, so those are my choices. Queer Code Death Magic Tarot deck with the Energy Archeology Oracle deck. I will put links down below for the decks and the Kickstarter if you're interested. Highly recommend. Get yourself one. They're more beautiful in person. The colors are just so vibrant. You don't have to connect them to your chakras if you don't want to, but they speak to mine. I saw this card and I knew that this was coming home with me. Okay, and in closing, because I've chosen my version of the Queer Code Death Magic with Energy Archeology. Those are my one of each, but no one said I couldn't have just a playing cards deck. So I would choose my new Alice deck, and I would take, like Honey Lou, a big notebook, and I would take, if I could only have one, I would have one pen. But if I could take all of these, I would have highlighters and different color markers and the pens that I love the best, which are these Sharpie gel pens. And Honey Lou, I would give you a pen and some markers too. So I would also love to take these. Okay, that's it.